Hello, everyone. Welcome back to UCTV Sports. I'm Bri Mahn, as always, and today I'm here with a very special athlete breaking records left and right at UConn in her fifth year, nominated for the Tewaaraton. There are too many awards to list that come with this girl. It is Sydney Watson. Thanks so much for being here, Sydney. So let's get right into it. First question, how did you get into lacrosse? Take us through the journey of the start until now.
So when I was younger, I started off playing soccer, basketball. When I was 6, I finally decided to play lacrosse. One of my friends' moms at the time was the coach of the team, and they were like, "Oh, come out and try it." And at that age, I was open to trying any sport. I loved being active and doing stuff like that. So I finally decided to pick up a stick, and I loved how much running was involved. I loved running at the time, and all the smaller techniques that had to go into the sport. It was also not as popular in Southern Maryland at that point. So it was a fairly new sport, and I was open and willing and excited to try it out and get to know it more.
So you come from Maryland, this huge breeding place for lacrosse now. How'd you kind of deal with the competition growing up, being that there is so much lacrosse from that state?
In Southern Maryland, it was tough because yes, in Northern Maryland, like Baltimore, and up at like the Eastern area, it's very, very popular. And definitely like even Northern Virginia, surrounded by amazing programs, amazing players, all of the above. So coming from Southern Maryland, it was a little more difficult for me. We in my high school, we would have to go around the hallways asking people to come and try out because we didn't have many people. We'd be playing against teams that most of them have never played before. So the level was very, very different. And then coming here, the change in pace, the change in gameplay, all of it was kind of a smack in the face at points. To mention the changes in the rule game, like when I was in high school, we had to stop at every whistle. And the first year I got here was the first year of the new rule that we didn't have to stop. So that, in my opinion, I felt lucky that I wasn't the only one who had to deal with this change. The whole team had to get used to stuff like that. But luckily that year I was surrounded by teammates who were very open and willing to help out freshmen in depth, helping them get to know the sport and the change throughout that time. So it was really helpful, and couldn't be more thankful for the people who were able to help me out then.
So how did you go about that recruiting process? Obviously, you said it was very different in high school, but you probably realized at some point that you wanted to go to Division I. So how did you kind of get recognized?
I focused more on camps. The travel team I played for wasn't one of the big Maryland travel teams. It was a Southern Maryland team called the Jets. And people still got looks on the Jets. It wasn't not normal to, but I wasn't on like the Maryland United, the C&C, M&D and stuff like that. So I tried to prioritize going to camps where there would be many college coaches, not just one. And I actually got seen by UConn at a camp called Maximum Exposure, which the first year UConn saw me, I was actually at the camp with a teammate now, Catherine Parker, and we had no idea. But yeah, they recognized me there. We started going back and forth, and they were able to come to my other travel games. They even came to my high school soccer games, which was really fun. But yeah, I prioritized camps over travel play for sure.
So when you entered the program, very well established program, but it's obviously grown a lot over the years. You guys being ranked number 14th for the first time in program history. What kind of made this season different for you guys?
This season, we definitely had dedication, left, right, behind, forward. No matter what, we had a goal. Not to mention, we had great leadership in our captains in our senior class. We wanted to look forward and show that we had something to prove to other teams in the nation. Obviously, UConn hasn't been one of those UNCs, Northwesterns, but we want to step out and show people that we can play with the best teams in the nation. We can be athletic, we can be competitive, we can be scrappy on the field, and we could be a team that people can fear on the field. And I feel like throughout the season, we were able to do that. We were able to show our strengths. Even in the weaker games that we had things go right and things go wrong. It's natural, but we were always able to rise above those downs and continue to do what we know we can.
And you yourself having career high scoring record and beating your draw record one after another year, how do you kind of keep bettering yourself without also being too hard on yourself and burning yourself out?
Yeah, so I have a bad habit of being really hard on myself. I try to do is get extra reps, extra time with the coaches, extra film, just to learn everything that if it didn't go well for me, what I can do to make it better in all of these opportunities. If my shooting was off, I want to get extra reps shooting with one of the coaches. If the draw didn't go well in a game, I want to watch film with our assistant coach and talk through it with our circle players. I try to focus on things I can control on the field, which can be difficult, but being surrounded by a team who I know has my back and I know I'm supported no matter what kind of day I'm having is definitely something that is able to push me to be even better, because it isn't just me, like I'm working for them, like they're working for me, we're all working together. And being able to use that on the field is great, and having that support is super necessary to be able to be your best self on the field. And I'm very thankful to have this team and knowing that they have my back every day.
And obviously COVID took away this year, kind of changed sports overall for a lot of people. Is that what kind of inspired you to want to do this extra year in a way?
Yes, definitely. The COVID year that ended our season, we had one of the best starts in a few years. I think we were 5-2 when we were cut short, and just seeing how positive that year was going, especially after a year of not being so great, and being able to turn that around super quick and starting off a season like we did, I thought about in that moment what we will be able to do in the next 2 years. And the positives greatly outweighed any negatives that there were. And I couldn't imagine taking my 5th year any other place with any other people. And I'm super glad they were willing to have me for another year and get to the NCAA tournament again.
So you talked about with US lacrosse, kind of being a Black woman in a predominantly male white sport and kind of your experience with that. Do you feel like within the community at the youth level to college now, it's improved? And is there anything else that should be done?
I do believe it has improved, especially because people are focusing more on hearing the stories of the Black women in lacrosse, listening, learning. And I feel like that's something that wasn't happening in the past. I've heard stories of teams like having their Black teammates share what they've gone through in their past and learning and wanting to know what they can do to help. And just like the incident just happened the other week with Delaware State women's lacrosse and getting racially profiled on their bus, the lacrosse community is surrounding them and supporting them, which is just proving that the sport's going in the right direction, because we're not turning our backs on them just because they're a predominantly Black team. We're putting our arms around them and telling them that we have their support and that things need to change. So I think just small examples like that is proving that things are changing, but also that we still have a long way to go. And we can't do it alone. And it's just the willingness of everyone in the lacrosse community to stand together and say out loud that this needs to be better, things need to change, is definitely a step in the right direction.
You said that obviously it was like kind of a shock to come to UConn and playing at that higher level. What was it like to play for Team USA amongst so many other great players from other schools?
That was an eye-opening and absolutely amazing opportunity. I was playing alongside the greats of women's lacrosse. And not to mention, they were so welcoming about it. Obviously, like coming from UConn, you're used to seeing like the UNCs, the Syracuses, the Boston colleges, and they were all there. So it's just like standing to do the draw next to Taylor Cummings is like, wow, I used to watch you in awe when I was in high school and in college, like, and getting that opportunity was one that I will never forget. Just playing at that high level next and watching those players do what they do best and knowing that I was there with them also doing my best was just a great experience. I can't even put words to it.
So now being at this higher level and kind of looking back on when you were younger and playing, what would you say your advice would be to someone trying to advance to the collegiate level?
My advice would definitely be know you can do it. Don't ever listen to any of the negativity coming from anyone. If someone tells you you can't do it, prove to them that you can, because I've had people now and in my past telling me that I can't do this, that I'm not good enough. And I want to prove to them that I am just the opposite. I am going to do my best. I am going to be the best, and I'm going to do what I need to do. With that, though, you also need to be willing to put in all of the extra work that comes with it. Playing a Division I sport is far from easy, but if you want to step on the field and you want to be your best, you have to also put in the work every day, hours a day, with your teammates, with your coaches, and prove that you're willing to be that best player.
Now, there's been like a lot of rule changes, kind of shifts to the game that a lot of people wouldn't think make a huge difference, but they kind of do. If there could be one thing you could change about women's lacrosse, what would it be?
That's a great question. At this point in the game, I'm not sure I would make any changes. If anything, it would be the newest rule of alternating possessions on the draw, because that can be tough in ways. Like if the refs can't tell what's going wrong in the draw, it's just going to automatically go to an alternate possession, and that could make or break the game. I think going back to doing the redraw, a reset, could potentially be better for the outcome of a lot of games. But otherwise, I think the other changes, like more major fouls, makes the game safer. Going back to being able to move on the whistle, that was a game changer. And I think that's made the game better and faster. And I think lacrosse is definitely moving in the right direction with where they're trying to take it. I think it'll take some time for teams, players, spectators to get used to it, but it's a lot of fun playing the game right now, and I believe that it needs to stay that way. So I think we're going in the right direction.
There's been a lot of debate over the years about adding helmets for women, somewhat of a safety precaution, but it also could make people think the game could become more dangerous or kind of similar to the men's. Do you think it's necessary, or do you think it would change the landscape of the game too much?
I think it would change the landscape a lot. I feel like with helmets, people automatically think that they can do those dangerous checks just because they're wearing the helmet. I mean, if you look at men's, they're slapping each other left and right with their sticks. I think it's a good idea to keep it as an option for players if they want to wear them, but I don't think wearing helmets would be helpful at this point, because if there are dangerous checks to the head, the refs are seeing it and they're calling it. And with helmets, it could change that.
So there's now the PLL for men's, and the women's league kind of isn't there at the same point anymore. Do you think that reopening that opportunity for women would create more exposure? And do you think that there should be more opportunities to play after college?
I definitely think there should be more opportunities. They started the pro women's league and then kind of cut it short really quick. And now they have AU pro, which is also growing, and it's also really popular. I went to a few of those games last summer, and there was a good fan base, but I also think it'll take time for things like that to grow. I mean, lacrosse is growing in itself. Still, not many people know what lacrosse is or how the game is played. So I think continuing these opportunities is extremely helpful. And then starting these developments at a young level. I know they have like US development teams. I mean, even teams like that, I think they need to continue to grow and have these players exposed to other great players from other parts of the country, and just get it out there. Get these players to be friends with each other, get to know each other more. And that can lead to more great things for players when they end in their college career. So continuing the leagues they have now is great. I think there just needs to be more exposure all around in and out of the sport for these players.
So with being a student athlete, obviously people are finally realizing now the mental health things that come with that. What do you think is kind of one of the biggest misconceptions about being a student athlete that some people may overlook?
I think the biggest misconception is thinking that we don't do anything else. Like, we also have to balance school. Some people also have jobs. We still have to go see our TAs or our professors to figure out stuff. Scheduling wise can be a mess for student athletes. I know so many people on my team had to reschedule their finals because we were in Denver. Like, that is stressful for us, not to mention every day for 3 to 4 hours a day, we're on the field, in the weight room with our coaches. I think other people just knowing that we are human beings too, just with a little more on our plate sometimes, and understanding the fact that comes with stress, it comes with anxiety, and sometimes even depression, and being open and understanding to those scenarios that student athletes are going through, or everyone's going through in that matter. Like, we are the same. Like, you're stressed about an exam, we probably are too, except we may also be stressed about a game coming up. So it's like, we don't want to seem any different than other players here. We just may, or people here, but we may just have a lot more on our plate sometimes. So I think just understanding, like, we're not walking around campus like we own it. We're students too. We're students first. So I think just understanding that and being able to like level and reason with us would be really helpful.
One of the things that people have spoken out upon is that with mental health, it's sometimes hard for people to not just define themselves as a player. And it's hard for you not to only think of yourself as your past game or your past play, but as a larger person because of it. Have you seen this over the years through maybe your teammates or even yourself, how it's difficult to not completely rely on how you're viewed from a sports standpoint?
Oh, completely. I mean, throughout the years, I've gone from just being a freshman who saw some time to a fifth year senior who, are breaking records. But I mean, it's deeper than that. I mean, I'll say I've struggled with mental health, especially this year. It's been tough. I mean, I'm ending a sport that I've played since I was 6 years old, and finally going into the real world without that sport. You have to think about, like, what am I now? And you have to actually think about it, because you're going into a world without it. You don't have to do that every single day anymore. And it can be scary, stressful. And I know so many people in so many different sports teams are dealing with that. And I just want them to know that they're not alone in the way they're feeling either. And that way we can rely on each other for that. We can rely on our friends who aren't athletes to help us through this change that may be happening. It's a tough time, but I think just knowing that there are other people who feel the same way and are open and willing to share experiences, talk about it, be there for one another is there. Just knowing you're not alone.
So obviously you have a large athletic community amongst at UConn. And UConn is usually known when mentioned to people as a basketball school, but definitely the spring sports this year have proved it is not just that. What do you kind of think about softball, baseball, lacrosse, how they've kind of made this school more than just being seen by one sport?
It's absolutely amazing. Like, yes, UConn is a basketball school, but softball just won Big East. We're a softball school too. Baseball has 40 plus wins. We're a baseball school. Field hockey has won multiple national championships. We're a field hockey school. Lacrosse, we were ranked 14th. We've been ranked all season. It's a lacrosse school. Like, the University of Connecticut is a athletic school. Everyone here deserves to be here, are here because they want to win, they want to work, they want to do everything they can, no matter the sport. Even if you're not winning as much as other teams, you're here because you want to work every single day and be the best athlete, student, friend, family member that you can, no matter what day it is. And I think it's absolutely amazing that so many sports are proving themselves and showing that they can be just as good. They can do all of these things as well. it's super, super exciting. And especially coming from COVID and having all of these sports shut down and coming off and doing all of these amazing things is super, super exciting to watch.
If you had to pick another sport to play at UConn, what do you think it would be?
It would probably have to be soccer because that was my go-to sport when I was younger. And I know a lot of the girls on the team and they're all really cool. So yeah, it would definitely have to be soccer.
It being your 5th year, what are your professional aspirations or just future goals after college?
I want to be in the FBI after I leave here. Obviously, that will take some time, but I'm pursuing being a profiler in the FBI. I'll end up graduating. Well, I did graduate here with a major in HDFS, a minor in psych, and then another degree in crime and justice. So I want to set myself up for success when I leave here. And it's crazy that it's almost done and that real world is creeping up extremely quick. But I think UConn, the people here, definitely prepared me well. And I'm excited to see what that next chapter brings.
It's really tough because you have had 5 years here, but if you had to pick your best memory with UConn lacrosse, what do you think it would be?
I think my best memory with UConn lacrosse would have to be last year when we went into overtime with the UMass Amherst and ended up winning that game in overtime. It was one of the first wins we've had over them in many, many years. And it's been a go back and forth with them for so many years. And just to get that win and know that we can play with this team and we're confident and we know we can do it, I think was a game changer for last year. And then coming into this year, we were able to beat them again, which was amazing. I know this team, both now and in the future, is going to do great things and is on our way to a lot more success. And I can't wait to watch that happen.
Getting to go into the NCAA tournament and getting to play JMU, it must be special in a way, getting to face them again. Do you think that's kind of a good thing that you guys kind of get to have this rematch? And are you excited to play a team you've played before this season?
I think it was a great opportunity for us because obviously we weren't sure if we were going to make it, let alone when our name popped up. Our opponent's name hadn't popped up yet. So when we saw JMU, it was like, okay, this is our time. We're going to prove ourselves and we're going to show the country at this point that we can play with teams like this. We can win and we can win good. We can play well against opponents who are also good. So it's a chance not only for us to prove to ourselves that we can do this, but also to prove to other people who may not see us as a team that should be there, prove that we should be there and can be there.
And what's your usual, maybe going into the NCAA tournament might be different, but what's your usual pregame routine?
Pregame routine. I usually like to relax, not do too much before a game. A lot of girls on our team have their hair braided for games. I'm one of the hair braiders. So I'll end up braiding 2 of my roommates' hair. I try to listen to music that has the energy, pumps me up. And then our team is big on playing the speaker, jamming it loud and dancing together before games, which really amps us up and gets us excited. So I'm super, super grateful that we get to do that again. Maybe not even once, but twice, 3 times, who knows? But it's definitely super exciting getting to go down to Maryland, where I'm from, and play there again.
Last question, kind of, how do you think you've learned, because you've played for 5 years, you've learned from seniors, you've learned from freshmen. How do you think you've learned from overall your teammates over the past 5 years?
Oof, I've learned so much from every single teammate that I've had, and just learning about them individually. Like when you have a team, you learn about them both off and on the field, and you have to be able to set them up for success on the field, set them up for success off the field, learn things they maybe don't like or do like on the field. It's just how the connection works when you're playing with them. and just knowing the ones on our team who have that extra energy, knowing who to go to when someone needs hyping up, be able to sense if someone's not having a great day, what you can do for them, if you can do anything for them. It's learning something new every single day, every single practice, bettering each other every day. It's a learning experience, no doubt, but I mean, playing with a team, being a part of a team is something that someone will probably go through all the time in their life, whether they play a sport or not. And it's definitely been an opportunity for me to be able to better myself for other people. And it was a good experience for sure.
Well, thank you so much. Congrats on an impressive, very impressive career. And good luck on Friday. It's at 7 p.m., right? ESPN Plus.
Yep.
Okay. Make sure everyone tunes in.